Hello, my name is Kristen Tynan, and today I will be presenting my woven thesis collection titled Seeking Solace. The goal of this project was to investigate the role textiles could play in enhancing our emotional well-being by incorporating purposeful tactile input into our everyday spaces. This project was inspired by the following quote: "Could there be comfort objects for adults that don't feel juvenile but provide aesthetic solace to those in distress?" Ingrid Fettel-Lee poses this question in response to research suggesting that when someone is in a negative frame of mind, they're more attentive to tactile stimuli than to visual stimuli. In other words, happy people like to look, while sad people crave touch. So what do people crave? It could be a favorite blanket to curl up with, a long hug after a hard day, or an object to squeeze during a stressful meeting. In any case, these are all methods of self-regulation that keep us in a state of relaxation and calm. When someone cannot regulate sensory information, the sensory messages become disorganized or mixed up, resulting in the breakdown of that person's behavioral and motor responses. This is diagnosed as sensory processing disorder. This is something that's often attributed to other neurological conditions, such as ADHD and autism, but I found that the physical and mental manifestations of this condition were very relatable and even universal, whether someone has an official diagnosis or not. For this project, my focus was on the 3 subtypes of sensory modulation disorder. These subtypes describe how individuals process sensory information in their environments. The sensory avoider responds too much, the sensory underresponder responds too little, and the sensory seeker craves more and more input. Typically, an individual would work with an occupational therapist to overcome their sensory issues, but there are a number of sensory-based interventions that can be used to mitigate these challenges. This design process in particular was informed by the self-regulating activities and tools that are used to alleviate the challenges associated with each subtype of SPD. I worked with a neutral palette with quiet moments of barely there pastels to create inviting, playful, and soothing textiles. Throughout the collection, you'll see geometric and linear patterns and subtle tonal variations, softened by dimensional padding and quilting. Unexpected fibers and materials are also used to create interactive and enticing surface qualities. This collection is primarily envisioned for seating and spatial modifications, but most importantly, this collection is meant to be universally inviting and inclusive of both the neurodiverse and neurotypical communities. Sensory avoiders are over-responsive or defensive to one or more sensory system. These individuals have a very low threshold for sensory stimuli and feel sensation too easily or too intensely. I use this as an opportunity to create textiles that could be used to improve the acoustic comfort in a space. Double cloth constructions are used to create densely padded textiles that could aid in softening sounds, confining loud activities, and providing a tangible sense of relief for the over-responder. These textiles are envisioned for different seating and spatial modifications in a busy working environment. The underresponder is not responsive to input from one or more sensory system. Because underresponders have high thresholds for sensory stimuli, they require substantially more sensory input to elicit a response as compared to a typical individual. Materiality served as the focus for developing alerting and engaging textiles for the underresponder. Silicone became the material of choice for its malleable qualities and its ability to take the shape of virtually anything. Silicone was molded into various shapes, such as circles, donuts, cubes, and spikes, to create interactive and rubbery surfaces. These textiles are particularly tactile and versatile and could potentially be used for different seating and flooring applications. Sensory seekers crave excessive input from one or more sensory system. They have extremely high thresholds for sensory stimuli, and like the underresponder, will need more input than is typical to feel regulated or satisfied. This is where design processes converged, one of creating varied surface textures and one of creating dimension through woven structure. Together, these processes produced fabrics that can be squeezed, rubbed, stretched, or manipulated to provide an alternative source of stimulation. In use, these fabrics are meant to reduce anxiety and stress and ease disruptive sensory-seeking behaviors. Sensory tools often have a consistent dimensional element to interact with, such as small bumps all over the surface of the object. In many of these textiles, repetitive dimension is captured through different woven structures, inviting the user's hand to rub over the bumps, ridges, and folds. Different combinations of fibers are also used, such as mohair, PVC, and elastomeric yarns, to provide additional tactile input. Here, double cloth structures are used to create exaggerated dimensional fabric that can be hugged or squeezed. In this textile, an elastomeric yarn is used to create a stretchy, ribbed texture. And in this textile, the user is able to maneuver a marble through a series of tunnels created by a double cloth structure. Overall, this collection serves as a material proposal for a neurodiverse world, where our interior spaces and the textiles that inhabit those spaces are reimagined and reconstructed with the user's mental and emotional wellness at the helm. The aim was to push beyond the soft, plush qualities often associated with comforting textiles to provide a practical outlet for anxious and nervous behaviors. Seeking Solace was designed with people in mind to offer holistic functional solutions to universal feelings. Thank you so much for following along. If you want to see more of what I do, please follow me on Instagram at kristen.tynan or take a look at my website at www.kristentynan.com. Thanks again.